Welcome back, everybody, as I continue to practice and experiment prior to committing some of my work to my actual module. You may recall I'm trying to work on my first module, which is going to be a campsite. And previously I had done some experimenting and put in a little bit of work to carve the foam and lay some roadbed for my dirt roads. Here are a couple shots of the progress I made while experimenting over the last week and a half or so. I started out by reshaping and painting the two pieces of foam that I worked on last week in order to give the road a little bit of height above the normal ground level. I'm using a technique that I learned from watching a video by Luke Towan by using cork to form the roadbed. It's important to sand it smooth and to sand off the edges a little bit. I then cover this with some plaster of Paris that I mixed up. First spooning it out and then smoothing it with my fingers. Turned out to be the best tool for doing that. After I let it dry for several hours, I was able to then come back with a sanding block and smooth it out, getting it ready for painting and adding the ground cover. I put a coat of regular paint on it, let that dry, and then I came back with a mixture of paint and glue and put that back over the road and use it as a base for adding my ground cover. I'm using a mix of actual dirt out of the backyard that I had put in the oven and then strained multiple times through various size sieves and then through a nylon stocking and combined it with some grout that I bought at the Home Depot. After mixing it up and experimenting with what the best color was that I wanted, I used the glue paint mixture and painted that on, and then through the nylon stocking I shook out and then eventually vacuumed off a coating of the ground cover. I then sprayed it heavily with a mixture of glue. Had trouble with the sprayer, unfortunately. And then eventually sprinkled more on top of that and sprayed more liquid glue on top of it. Not knowing exactly how I wanted the roads to look, I first used some fine ballast and created kind of a gravel shoulder to the road. And then I took the other module and I decided to put dirt and grass and various other ground cover along the edge of the road to give it a different profile. In order to get the look that I was going for, I used several different ground coverings, layering them on, first starting with dirt, and then adding a different color and textured ground covering that I had purchased a few weeks back. I then patted it down into the glue paint mix. I shook off the extra and then I soaked the ground cover with the water and glue mixture. I also tried a product from Hecky that is basically sheets of grass, and I glued that into place, and then used a little of the dirt mixture to create some interest and texture in it. I was hoping this product may be an alternative to buying a static grass applicator. In order to add a little more interest, I placed some little stones around and glued them down, and then eventually went back over everything and sprayed it again with the glue mix. In order to make the roads look dusty and used, I tried my hand at using some weathering pastels, and had to do a lot of experimenting, having never done this before. I think it ended up being fairly good. I've learned a lot, so the next time I try it, I'll be able to do a little bit better job. As I leave you with several shots of the finished product, with some of the N-scale trucks sitting on the road, and some pictures of the train and tracks, I ask you to please leave comments, suggestions for improvement, criticisms, whatever you may have for me. And I want to thank you for watching and subscribing to my channel, and to let you know that I appreciate all the input that you've provided me over the last several months. Thanks a lot. Please don't forget to like or subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you.